I thought I was just being honest. Turns out, I was being reckless. And now, I'm sitting here wondering if I just fumbled the best man I'll ever have. My name is Lindsay. I'm 32 years old, and if I'm being real, I didn't think this little argument would turn into all this. It started with something so small, it's almost embarrassing. See, I've been working at this new marketing job for a few months now, and for the first time, I'm finally making more money than my husband, Darren, who's 35. Not a little more either, I'm talking more. Like, I'm walking into stores without checking price tags. More. I'm ordering appetizers, entrees, and desserts without blinking. More. And listen, I earned this. I worked hard. I stayed up late on courses. I sent out resumes for months. So yeah, I felt like I deserved to treat myself. Call it main character energy or whatever, but I felt like I finally made it. Darren wasn't seeing it that way though. The first crack happened over something dumb. I bought a $400 bag. Nothing crazy, not designer or anything, just a nice bag that made me feel good. When I came home with it, I expected Darren to maybe say something like, "Ooh, that's nice," or "You deserve it, babe." Instead, he hit me with, "How much was that?" That question is like nails on a chalkboard to me. I hate when men ask that. It makes me feel like a little kid being scolded. So I rolled my eyes and said, "Don't worry about it. I paid for it with my money." I could tell that rubbed him the wrong way. His face didn't move much, but his eyes did that little squint smile thing people do when they're trying not to snap. He said, "Your money?" I thought it was our money. You do realize I'm still the one paying all the bills, right? And that's when it all went left. Because instead of letting it go, like I probably should have, I said something slick. Something I thought was funny in the moment, but now feels like the dumbest thing I've ever said in my life. I looked him dead in the face and said, "Well, maybe if you made more money, I wouldn't have to spend mine." Yeah, I said that. To a man who wakes up at 5:30 a.m. every day to work 10-hour shifts. To a man who's been paying the mortgage, the lights, the groceries, all while I was in and out of jobs before this marketing gig even came through. And I didn't just say it, I said it with a little laugh behind it like it was cute. It wasn't cute. The way his face shifted, I knew I messed up. He didn't even snap back at me, which somehow made it worse. He just stared at me for a second, nodded and went, "All right, Lindsay, I see where you're at now." Then he walked away. And I'm not proud of it, but instead of feeling bad, I got mad. Like, "Oh, so now you're gonna be all quiet and hurt feelings about it, huh?" In my head, I'm thinking, be a man. I sat on the couch with my arms folded, waiting for him to come back and argue, but he didn't. That night, I scrolled on my phone until I fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up and Darren was already gone. Nothing unusual. He always leaves for work early. But when I went to the kitchen, there was a sticky note on the fridge that said, "I'm taking $300 from our savings for the car maintenance. Just letting you know since I'm the only one adding to it." Petty. So petty. I crumpled it up and tossed it in the trash, but I felt that one. It hit in a place I wasn't ready to admit hurt. The next week was full of little jabs like that. If I ordered takeout, he'd ask, "Did you pay for that with your money or our money?" When we were grocery shopping, I reached for the name brand cereal, and he reached for the store brand. I said, "Babe, come on, it's only a $2 difference." And he said, "Well, since you're rich now, maybe you should cover it." It got so bad that one night I texted my best friend Maya like, "Girl, Darren is in his feelings lately. I think he's jealous of me." I expected her to hype me up, but instead she texted back, "Sis, are you sure you're not being a little selfish though?" I started typing back a whole paragraph, ready to defend myself, but I deleted it. Because deep down, I knew she might be right, a little. But admitting that felt like losing, and I wasn't ready to do that. Then came the moment that changed everything. We were sitting in the car on the way back from his mom's house. The whole ride was quiet until he hit me with, "Do you think I'm holding you back, Lindsay?" I froze. Why is he asking me this? He didn't look at me, just kept his eyes on the road. I shrugged and said, "I mean, I didn't say that, but you kind of are." I didn't think much of it in the moment. It just slipped out. But he didn't say a word the rest of the ride. No smart remarks, no subtle jabs, just silence. Later that night, he packed an overnight bag. I thought he was going to his brother's house like he's done before when we fight. But when I saw him grab his work shoes and laptop bag, my heart started racing. "Where are you going?" I asked. "Somewhere I don't have to feel like I'm holding you back," he said, looking me dead in the eyes. And then he left. I waited. I didn't call him. I thought, he'll be back. He always comes back. But now, it's been 3 days. No calls, no texts. He's not at his brother's place. His sister said he's taking space to figure things out. And that's when it hit me. He's really gone. And for the first time, I'm sitting here wondering if I played myself. I told him he was holding me back, but it's starting to feel like he's the one leaving me behind. It's been 6 days now, and Darren still hasn't come home. I'm not gonna lie, at first I was stubborn. I told myself, if he wants to act like a child, then let him. I wasn't about to beg. I scrolled TikTok, blasted some "I don't need a man" playlists, and told Maya, "Girl, he'll be back. He's just being dramatic." But every day that passed, my confidence dropped a little more. By day 3, I was checking his location on Find My iPhone, but guess what? He turned it off. Turned it off. And if you know what kind of message that sends. I wasn't ready to panic yet, but I was starting to feel it. On day 4, I called his brother Tyrell. "Hey Ty, have you seen Darren?" Tyrell paused like he was deciding how much to tell me. Then he said, "He's good, Lindsay." "What does that mean?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. "It means he's good. He'll call you when he's ready." I hung up. My hands were shaking. I didn't like how calm Tyrell sounded, like he knew something I didn't. By day 5, I wasn't eating right. Food tasted bland, and my stomach was tight like I was waiting on bad news. I kept looking at the door like it would swing open any second, but it didn't. I caught myself pacing the kitchen, phone in hand, going back and forth on whether I should text him. I even typed, "Are you really done with us?" But I deleted it. It felt too desperate. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of thinking I cared that much. Then, day 6 hit me like a brick. That morning, I woke up to an email notification from our joint bank account. I rubbed my eyes, sat up, and tapped the message. It read, "Account transfer complete. $6,500 transferred to new account ending in 891. My heart dropped to my stomach. I checked the bank app to see what was left. $322.07. He left me with $300. That's when it stopped feeling like a break and started feeling like abandonment. I sat there, staring at the screen, blinking like I misread it. He'd been saving that money for us, or at least, that's what I thought. Every time I'd buy little things, clothes, candles, takeout, he'd tell me, "Don't touch the savings, Linz. That's for emergencies." But I guess he decided this was his emergency. I called him this time. I didn't care about pride anymore. The phone rang twice, and then straight to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. I sat there with my jaw clenched, fingers tight around the phone like it owed me answers. Oh, so now he's ignoring me? After everything we've been through? I put my shoes on and grabbed my keys. I wasn't about to sit here like a fool. I knew exactly where he'd be. I drove straight to his sister Michelle's house. I didn't call. I didn't text. I pulled up like it was my house. I could see his car parked in the driveway, and that was all I needed to see. I didn't even knock. I rang the doorbell 4 times in a row. Michelle opened it, looking half asleep in a bonnet and robe. She squinted at me. "What do you want, Lindsay?" "Don't what do you want me, Michelle? Is Darren here?" I tried to look past her, but she stepped in front of me. "He don't want to see you right now, sis." "Sis? Sis?" I laughed. I wasn't in the mood for calm, big sister energy. "Tell him to come outside, Michelle." "I'm not doing that, Lindsay." Her eyes were steady, no flinching, like she was used to dealing with stubborn people. "So y'all just gonna hide him in there like a toddler?" I raised my voice now. "Tell your brother to come out here or I'm walking in." Her face got cold. "You step foot in my house and we'll see how that works out for you." The door shut. I just stood there, livid, embarrassed, humiliated. This is what it feels like to be on the outside of your own marriage. I could feel the tears welling up, but I sucked them back. I wasn't about to cry on this woman's porch. Not happening. I got in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel so hard it hurt. My pride wouldn't let me drive off just yet, so I sat there, watching the house like he'd come running out. He didn't. Instead, Michelle texted me, "You need to chill. Y'all both need space." Space? Space? This man drained our savings and I'm supposed to chill? Nah, I was past chill. I was boiling. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in bed, replaying every petty comment I ever made to him. If you made more money? Well, maybe if you did more. Every slick joke I thought was funny wasn't so funny anymore. I was sick thinking about it. I checked his location again. Still off. Then I saw it. A picture posted by his cousin Sean on Facebook. It was a group of them, out at some sports bar, smiling like everything was sweet. And there he was, Darren, cheesing with a drink in his hand, looking the most unbothered I've ever seen him. No stress. No worry. Just peace. My chest felt tight, like I'd been sucker punched. I closed the app. I didn't need to see that. Then, just as I was about to put my phone down, he texted me. I sat up so fast, I got lightheaded. Darren, I'll be by this weekend to get the rest of my stuff. I'll text before I come. I stared at it for a full minute. My heart started pounding in my chest like I was in a free fall. The rest of his stuff? What is he talking about? Is this really it? I texted back. Me, you're really doing this? No response. Nothing. I saw the little read receipt pop up, but that was it. I couldn't believe it. This was a man who once rubbed my back when I was too tired to cook. A man who stood next to me when I lost my first job. My husband. But now he's treating me like I'm just some girl he used to know. I woke up Saturday morning with this heavy feeling in my chest. It wasn't just sadness. It was that sinking, gut-deep regret that doesn't let you breathe right. I knew today was the day. Darren was coming to get his stuff. I tried to convince myself that I was fine. He's bluffing, I told myself while folding laundry like everything was normal. But I wasn't fine. Every car that drove by had me checking the window like a dog waiting for its owner. Around 2 p.m., I heard it. The sound of his key in the lock. It used to be a comforting sound. Now it felt like the end. I stood in the hallway, heart thumping in my chest, trying to act like I was just casually walking by. He walked in, didn't even look my way, and went straight to the bedroom. He had on gray sweats, a hoodie, and that same, "I'm done with you" look on his face. "So you're really doing this?" I said, leaning on the wall with my arms crossed. My voice came out shakier than I wanted. He didn't answer, just kept walking toward the closet, unbothered. "So you're not even gonna talk to me now?" I asked, pushing off the wall and following him. "You're just gonna pack up like I'm a stranger? What you want me to say, Lindsay?" He muttered, sliding hangers off the rod like he was in a rush to get away from me. "How about you say you're overreacting?" I shot back. "All this because of one argument? Be serious, Darren." He stopped for a second, head tilted like he couldn't believe I was still playing dumb. Then he let out a short, dry laugh and went back to packing. "You think this is about one argument?" he said, stuffing his clothes into a duffel bag. "You really that clueless?" "Clueless?" I repeated, stepping closer. "I'm not clueless, Darren. I'm just not about to beg you to stay over something stupid." "Stupid?" He stopped packing and turned to face me, looking me dead in my face. His eyes didn't have that softness I was used to. They were cold, like he'd already made up his mind. "It's not stupid when I'm carrying this whole house on my back, Lindsay." His voice was steady, but I could hear that edge in it. "It's not stupid when every month I'm sitting at this table trying to figure out how to make it all work while you're out here buying stuff like we got money to burn." "Oh, so you mad because I buy a few things for myself?" I laughed, but it came out shaky. "I work, Darren. I deserve to treat myself. I'm not just gonna sit around pinching pennies like you." "And look where that got you," he snapped, motioning around the room. "I was saving for both of us, Lindsay, for the house, for emergencies. But you don't see that, do you?" He shook his head and went back to packing. I folded my arms tighter, trying to act like his words weren't hitting me, but they were. They were. He was right, but I wasn't ready to admit it. "You know what? Fine. Leave then," I said, raising my voice. "You think you're so perfect? Go ahead and be Mr. Responsible somewhere else." He didn't even flinch, just zipped up the duffel, grabbed it, and tossed it over his shoulder. He walked past me, brushing against my arm like I wasn't even there. "Wow, so that's it?" I called after him. "You're not even gonna fight for us?" "Fight for what?" He spun around at the front door, his face twisted with disbelief. "Fight for somebody who thinks I'm a joke? You told me I was holding you back, Lindsay." "Holding you back. You know how that sounds to a man? You know how that hit me?" I opened my mouth to say something, but nothing came out. I didn't realize how bad it sounded until he repeated it. I thought we was building something, he said, his voice quieter now, like he was tired of talking. Turns out, you was just waiting to outgrow me. And then he opened the door. That's when it hit me. He's really leaving. It's not a cool-off moment. It's not one of those fights where he comes back later with food and we sit on the couch like nothing happened. This was real. My pride crumbled. I ran to the door like my life depended on it. Wait, Darren, wait. I grabbed his arm, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to win the argument. I was trying to win him. Please, I said, tears already running down my face. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean it. I was just mad. You know how I get when I'm mad. He looked down at my hand on his arm, but he didn't pull away. I didn't mean it, Darren, I repeated, voice cracking. I wasn't even trying to be strong anymore. I was being stupid. I didn't mean none of it, please. For a second, I thought I had him. His face softened just a little, and I swear, if I could have just held on to him tighter, he would have stayed. But he sighed. It wasn't an angry sigh. It was that final sigh. The one people do when they've already let you go. I know you didn't mean it, Lindsay, he said softly, like he was trying to be kind now. But I'm tired of waiting for you to figure it out. He took my hand off his arm. Gently. Not like he was mad, but like he was done. Darren, please, I said, my voice breaking in half. Please, don't do this. We have too much history. Yeah, he said, looking me dead in the eyes. But history don't pay bills. Then he walked out. I stood there at the door, tears streaming down my face, hands still out like I could grab him from the other side of the door. It felt like my whole world had just been flipped upside down. I wiped my face with my sleeve, pacing the living room like I was going to wake up from all of it. I picked up my phone and called him. No answer. Called him again. Nothing. I texted him. Me, please come back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Read at 4:47 p.m. No reply. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, tears drying on my cheeks. I thought I'd feel better after apologizing, but I didn't. It's one thing to say sorry. It's another thing when they don't care anymore. I stared at the TV, but I didn't see it. I just sat there thinking about every single moment where I could have done better. Every slick comment. Every selfish move. He was right. I was too busy treating myself to see what he was trying to build for us. He tried to be patient with me. He tried to guide me. But instead of listening, I told him he was holding me back. Now he's leaving me behind. It's been a week of silence, of me sitting around staring at the door, hoping he'd walk through it. Every time my phone buzzes, I jump, only to see it's a notification for something stupid, like a sale I don't need to care about, or a message from a friend I haven't talked to in forever. But not from Darren. I spent those days replaying everything in my head, looking at every moment we had and questioning everything I did. Did I push him too far? Was I really that selfish? I tried calling him a few times. I texted him, told him I was sorry, even apologized again for the things I didn't say, but he never replied. Finally, on the 5th day, I got a message. Not from Darren, but from his sister. It was short. Darren's staying with me for now. He's done trying to make it work. Just like that. Done. I put my phone down and stared at it, hoping I was reading it wrong. But I wasn't. I felt sick to my stomach. It was like everything hit me at once. He was done trying to make things work with me. And the worst part was that I couldn't blame him. I'd pushed him away, and now he was gone. I spent the next few days in a blur, talking to friends who told me I should have known better. Friends who said, you can't treat a man like that and expect him to stay around forever. I knew they were right, but that didn't make it hurt less. I thought I could fix it. I thought a simple apology would be enough to make him come back and everything would go back to how it was before. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. My kids asked me about him. They missed him. And honestly, so did I. Darren had been a part of their lives for almost 5 years. He was more than just a husband, he was a father figure to them. Now, all I could do was try to explain to them that sometimes people grow apart. But how do you explain that when you were the one who let it happen? The next week, I went over to his sister's house to pick up some of his things. She let me in, but her eyes told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't angry with me. She was just disappointed. I grabbed his stuff, avoiding the look on her face. I walked out with the heavy weight of everything I had done wrong, And when I got back home, I sat down with the bag of his things and thought about how I'd let something good slip through my fingers. Darren was right. I didn't take him seriously until it was too late. I didn't see how much he was doing for us because I was too wrapped up in me. Too wrapped up in feeling like I had it all figured out. But I didn't. I was wrong. And now he was gone. I'd been thinking about it a lot lately. About how quick I was to blame him, to push him away, because I couldn't handle someone else's expectations of me. And maybe he was right. Maybe I was holding myself back from seeing the truth, that all the things I wanted could have been there for me if I had just been more aware. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if he'll ever come back. Part of me hopes he will. But a bigger part of me knows that what's broken might not be fixable. If Darren ever reads this, if he ever finds out that I even considered apologizing after all of this, then maybe it'll make sense. Maybe he'll see that I didn't understand then, but I get it now. But if he doesn't, then maybe that's for the best. He deserves better than me. And I'll have to live with that.